Today I'm going to teach you how to make Spanish rice with hamburger. I know this isn't a standard recipe anymore, but back in the 70s it was quite popular to put hamburger in. I think the reason for that was because it was a budget-friendly dinner. And right now, while things are costing a lot, this is a good option to make for your family because it's a meal that fills you up and it does not cost nearly as much as some of the different options. You can leave out a lot of the different ingredients. The primary thing is to make sure you have the right rice to water ratio. The rest of the stuff you can leave in or take out, and I'll kind of explain that as we go. I'm going to be making a double recipe because I'm going to be taking this to someone's home for a dinner. But we're going to go ahead and get started right now. So I'm going to turn this on medium high. Actually, on this burner, I'm going to turn it on low because this is our power burner. It's a lot hotter than what our other burners are. I'll go ahead and chop that up. You can chop it as fine or leave it as big as you want. It's a matter of preference with that part. All right, so I'm going to leave this to fry. And while this is frying, I'm going to brown some rice over in this other pan. And that was 1 pound of hamburger that we're frying in the other pan. I forgot to mention that. So we'll put approximately 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I'm using avocado oil. I'll get this turned on actually first. I'm going to set that at medium high. We'll put in 2 tablespoons of oil. And I will add my vegetables first and then I'll add the rice. So it calls for 1 medium onion, and that's equivalent to a 1/2 cup of onion. So get these in. These are freeze-dried onions, but I rehydrated them so they're just like regular onions. And for the green peppers, it's a 1/2 cup of green peppers. You can put the red or yellow peppers. That actually would be quite nice just to add a little bit of color, but I didn't have any, and these were frozen green peppers. Again, it's handy, even if you just chop them up, throw them in the freezer, then you can easily grab them when you want them without having to buy a fresh green pepper and chop it up. And then I'm going to throw in my rice, and it calls for 1 cup of rice. And the idea here is to get the rice browned and get the onions translucent. Typically, I would use a wider cast iron skillet, but I need this taller one because by the time everything cooks, the volume is going to be too high for one of my cast iron regular skillets. The reason for browning the rice is it gives it a nice toasty flavor. I realize it is an extra step and you don't have to do this part, but let me tell you, the taste of the toasted rice makes this dish just taste so much better than just throwing it into boiling tomato sauce. So I'll let this brown a little bit and I'll just keep stirring it here and there. I want to make sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom. You wouldn't have to fry your hamburger in a separate pan. I just thought it would be easier since I have so much stuff going on here to do it in a separate pan. I'm going to give this hamburger a stir here. I don't want it to stick. I'm going to put my spices in here on the hamburger while it's frying just to give the hamburger more flavor. This recipe calls for 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. I better stir this rice here. You can kind of see that some of that is starting to brown. It smells very good. It calls for 1/8 teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm just gonna actually just put it on here, but if you haven't made it before, you might wanna measure it out. I like a lot of garlic, so one thing I forgot to add was the jalapenos. And so I just put them in, I missed filming it, but it's 1/8 cup of jalapenos. And them are optional. I do take the seeds out of mine because we don't necessarily love the heat, but giving it a little kick is kind of nice. And the flavor, it just enhances the flavor, so I enjoy that. If you see that it's getting too dry, you can always add a little more oil. I think this is going to be okay, but we'll keep an eye on it. It makes it harder not having the wider pan with all this rice, but it's browning, so that's the main thing. All right, let's get back over here to our hamburger, and I'm gonna put some pepper on here. I'm not measuring, but this calls for 1.5 teaspoons, what I put down for that, and then about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. You could just go with less, and then whenever you get done, you can taste it and you can add more at that point. When you're cooking without a recipe, that's the best way to do it. Go light on things and then just add more if you need to. I'll get them spices stirred in so we can get the spices toasted. We can leave that hamburger just to brown now. And oops, now I'm making a mess. It seems like lately I've been making a lot of messes while I'm cooking. The dogs don't mind. If it gets on the floor, they have to come in and give it a try themselves. Oh yeah, that's starting to brown up good now. It's nice to see them nice brown bits in there. There's our Sparky girl. She decided to come in and join us. Hi, Sparky. She likes to be a part of everything. It's looking good and brown to me. I don't want to overcook the vegetables, so at this point, it's a good time to get our liquids in there. So we have an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce and about 3/4 cup of diced tomatoes, or an 8-ounce can, if you can even buy an 8-ounce can, I don't know. And then it calls for 1 3/4 cups of water. You can do beef broth for this part. See a couple little bits that got a little too brown. I'm going to take them out because they might have a little bit of a burnt taste. I don't know that they will. Usually they're fine, but I don't know. Since I'm taking it somewhere, I probably will take them out. I'm going to turn this hamburger off. Get this hamburger in here with this other mixture. Got nice and brown. So we're going to bring this to a boil. Then we're going to reduce the heat and we're going to cover it and allow it to simmer for about 30 minutes. That's looking good already. Obviously it's got to thicken up, but once that rice cooks all the way, it's going to thicken up. Okay, it come to a boil, so I'm going to reduce my heat. I'm going to cover it and allow it to just simmer. If you see that the rice is not done and it's starting to dry up, then add some more water, because if you boil it too hard, or there's many things that can dry that water up too quickly. So just keep an eye on it and stir it every once in a while. And also watch that you don't overcook the rice, because if you do, it does not taste as good. It'll be all mushy. All right, let's open this up and see what it looks like. I stirred it every once in a while just to make sure that it wasn't sticking to the bottom. It's actually looking really good. I'll get a teaspoon and give this a try and see if the rice is done, because I do not want to overcook the rice. Actually, I think that rice is done. It does need more salt and pepper. You can add cayenne to this also if you like it a little bit hotter. I'm gonna try it and see, but I may add just a little bit of cayenne. I'm not gonna put it on the recipe, just because I'd hate to have somebody make it and put that in and then it's too spicy for them. I'm kind of a pansy when it comes to heat, and I always think that a little bit of cayenne tastes good. But with already having jalapenos in here, I just want to be very careful, especially taking it to somebody else's house. Our son loves things very spicy, so if I was taking it there, I would most definitely add a lot of hot spice to it, as much as I can tolerate, that is. Yeah, see how good that's looking? It's nice and thick. The rice is done perfect. I'm gonna turn this off while I just taste test it. I don't want it to overcook. It'll keep cooking a little bit. This is a really good time to add any spices so that you can kind of taste it as you go. I think it's good enough. I'll put some of this in a bowl, and the rest of this I'm gonna cover with my lid so that it stays warm, because we still have about 45 minutes before we'll be at the dinner. There it is. I love all the color that's in here. This is the part I've been waiting for, the taste test. We'll make sure that the rice is done well and that the spices taste good. It is very good. The rice is perfect, which is awesome because it's very easy for rice to get overcooked. The spice ratio is very good. I can taste the tomato, but it's not overpowering. I'm very happy with how it came out. You can either eat this plain, or you can wrap it up in a tortilla, or you can even add it to a fajita or a taco or anything like that. It makes a nice addition to pretty much any meal. You can use it as a side, or you can make it as a main meal. And I hope that you will give this recipe a try. For some of you, it's going to bring back great memories, or maybe some of your family have held on to this tradition of making this dish. If you could post in the comments below and let me know if you've ever had Spanish rice with ground beef in it. I hope that you'll give this a try and let me know what you think. And until next time, have a great day.